Hello friends, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to learn a very nice lesson from a bee. Once upon a time in a garden, there lived a busy bee. It worked very hard from morning till evening. It would go from flower to flower and collect sweet nectar. It made sure that it collected enough nectar to make the best honey for the hive. The bee was so hardworking that all the other bees in the hive would praise it. One day, while collecting nectar, the bee noticed a beautiful flower. The flower was red and yellow, and it looked very nice in the garden. The bee went to the flower and said, "You are very beautiful. Let me collect some of your nectar." The flower said, "Sure, take as much nectar as you want, but please do me a favor." The bee asked, "What is it?" The flower said, "Please leave some pollen for me. I want to grow into a big, beautiful flower, but I don't have any pollen." The bee thought for a moment. It knew that it had to collect pollen to make honey, but it also didn't want to make the flower sad. So it decided to leave some pollen for the flower. From that day on, the bee started leaving some pollen for the flower every day. The flower was very happy. It used the pollen to make seeds, and soon it grew into a big, beautiful flower. All the other flowers in the garden were very happy to see this. They too requested the bee to leave some pollen for them so that they could grow and bloom. Now the bee was very busy. It had to collect pollen for itself and also for other flowers. It was a lot of work, but the bee didn't mind. It was happy that it was able to help the flowers. One day, the bee was collecting nectar when it heard a little girl crying. The bee went to her and asked, "Why are you crying?" The girl said, "I wanted to play with these flowers, but they have no fragrance, no color. They are so dull and lifeless. Can't you see? They don't even have any nectar." The bee was shocked to see the flowers. It couldn't believe that it had worked so hard to make the flowers bloom and bear fruit, but they were still not beautiful. The bee felt sad and disappointed. Just then, an old bee came to the bee and said, "Why are you sad? You have done a great job. These flowers are beautiful because of you. You may not see the results of your work today or tomorrow, but one day you will see what you have done. These flowers will become beautiful, and they will give fragrance and nectar to the whole garden." The young bee understood what the old bee meant. It realized that it had to be patient and that its work would bear fruit one day. So friends, the lesson of the story is that living well means not only taking, but also giving. The bee took nectar from the flowers, but it also gave something back to the flowers. It left pollen for the flowers so that they could grow and bloom. The bee did not know when its work would bear fruit, but it did not give up. It kept working hard to make the flowers beautiful, and one day it saw the results of its work. The flowers were beautiful, and they were giving fragrance and nectar to the whole garden. Just like the bee, we should always try to give something back to the world. We should not only think about ourselves, but also about others. When we do something good for others, we may not see the results immediately, but one day we will see what we have done. Now, friends, we will do some more questions. What did the bee do every day? The bee would go from flower to flower and collect sweet nectar. It also left some pollen for the flowers. What did the flowers do with the pollen? The flowers used the pollen to make seeds, and they grew into big, beautiful flowers. Why was the little girl crying? The little girl was crying because the flowers had no fragrance, no color. They were dull and lifeless. What did the old bee tell the young bee? The old bee told the young bee that it had to be patient and that its work would bear fruit one day. Now, friends, I will give you a moral of the story. The moral of this story is living well means not only taking, but also giving. Now, friends, we come to the end of the lesson. I hope you liked this story. If you want to listen to more such stories, then subscribe to our channel. Thank you.